The only way I learned to do things differently was after I let myself burn out, and I only then realised how I had to make a change. Planning my calendar made all the difference, but I had to get strict with it. Changing your habits and your mindset can be huge to overcome, and yet only you have the power and tools to make the change. You're here because you want to manage your time effectively, and I've given you a great tool to do exactly that. Will you make a change? Let's find out. Hello, you're listening to the Courageous Goals podcast. This podcast is for high-achieving, courageous women who want growth and the know-how to scale their business online. Running a business is a journey and a process. The more we learn in action, the more we succeed. If you're a woman in business, this is the podcast for you. Be in the 5% of businesses that make it. Let's get bold and create the life we desire. I'm bringing my passion to you through advice, coaching, inspiration, and support to help you create and design the life and business you want to live. I am a Dubsado expert, CPD certified in social media platforms, and a lover of admin systems and processes. I am an accredited ICF coach, specialising in trauma and narcissism. My own coaching journey has supported my growth immensely, and I want to share those highlights with you to inspire and give you courage. Let's get intentional with our goals and make them happen. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Courageous Goals podcast. For those of you that know me, I'm kind of known for my organisational skills and the general know-how on how to do things, whether that's tech things, systems and processes, setting up a business, creating a strategy. I can pretty much put my mind to anything that requires a process. It's what I do and it's what I know. So today I want to talk to you about time blocking and, if done religiously, how beneficial it can really be. So this episode, although worth listening to, is also an actionable one that can really support you day to day. We all want to find ways to work smarter and not harder. So let me show you how. Do you feel like you have zero time and moving from one task to the next, and perhaps creating a long list of things mentally that you need to do, and they're just constantly getting moved on to the following day, to the following week, to the following month, rather than feeling overwhelmed with tasks, feeling like you have no time and wanting to be doing other things? How would it feel to be spending time on doing those things that you so desperately would love to do? So what you need to know about time blocking for it to work efficiently is that, firstly, it will give you focus. Secondly, it will give you structure. Third, it will give you good boundaries, which we could all do with. Fourth, it will give you better productivity. And 5, it will give you time. Now, we are all fighting for time back in whatever way that is, whether it's to spend time on our business, to spend time with our family, to spend time just day to day, not rushing from one task to the next, whether that's working on client work, whether that's actioning something in our own business, trying to make a cup of tea or have a lunch break. There's so many things that we would like to do, but time just doesn't allow it. And so I really want to get down to the nitty-gritty details of being strict with your calendar, so that you can do what you desire in your day, to give you the balance that you need to manage your time effectively and be able to focus on the things that you're doing at that moment in time. So we are going to look at this by breaking down your tasks into certain areas to block off chunks of time for you to work on those tasks, projects, meetings, and so much more. Now, as you work through this, it may work really well in some areas and not so in others. And yet time blocking can still be managed with enthusiasm, knowing that you have structure in place, which allows you to see where you are spending your time day to day. Now, there's 3 top areas that I want you to consider when time blocking. Number 1, what do you do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis? Think about your time and think about the things that you do in your business, whether that's your own things or whether that's client things, whatever it is. What do you do on a regular, daily, weekly, monthly basis? Now, this could be some sort of admin in your business. Do you have a regular meeting with a client or a co-worker or an associate or something like that? Do you work on a specific project? What breaks, lunch do you take? Do you take them religiously? And if you don't, why not? Is this because of time? What self-care do you do day to day or week to week? And I think we can all be guilty of not taking regular self-care and even breaks. So that is really important to think about when looking at time blocking. In addition, what other personal tasks do you do week to week? Do you have children? So do you do the school pickup? Other activities you do? Do you go to the gym? Do you do a weekly shop? What do you do on a weekly, monthly, daily basis? So really get down to the details of that. The second thing that I want you to think about is, when are you most productive? Now, are you an early riser? Are projects and admin and big tasks better completed first thing in the morning? Or are you a night owl? Perhaps meetings and sessions could be done in the afternoon or the evening, leaving you to start your day slowly. So when are you most productive? And then you can organise your tasks so that you work on your most productive things at the right time, and the other things that don't require so much detail or attention, you can do at other times. Thirdly, what tasks can you group and adapt to fit with your schedule? You might have time blocked admin, say 9 to 11 on a Monday. So work out where you can be really specific with admin from one week to the next and plan monthly if that works for your schedule. So for instance, you could have admin in your calendar on a Monday at 11 o'clock every single week, but you may not have specific tasks in the admin area to do that week. So get down to the details on what you need to do. So week one, that could be accounts and invoicing clients, because you know you have to do that on a regular basis. So that could be your week one task for your admin. What could week two be? Perhaps are you updating your website or updating your services? Things like that where you actually work on your business. It allows you to do it. You know in your head that you've got, week two, every single month, I'm going to go and do my website admin. I'm going to go and do my services admin. And then another example could be, say, week three, that you're deciding to create a free resource to give to your clients, or to put out there to create a funnel and get people into your mailing list. So allow yourself to block the time weekly with a time that works for your schedule, but really get down to the details. At the same time, this could work the same for other things. If you know that you have a meeting with a client, say perhaps on a Wednesday at 9 a.m, then is that meeting always running at 9 o'clock, say 9 till 10? What do you do beforehand or after that meeting to prepare yourself? Do you need time to have a break afterwards? Do you allow yourself that break? Or do you think, right, actually that meeting finishes at 10 o'clock and I can start this one at 10? And they're back to back. So when are you taking that break in the middle? So the idea is to really look at your schedule, look at your plans, your projects, your meetings, your admin, look at absolutely everything and work out where you really need to plan and where you know you need to take time for you as well. Now, when I talk about this, I'm mentioning taking breaks for you and not booking yourself back to back, because I really do have experience, and I know what it feels like to book yourself out back to back all the time. And I think what a lot of people don't realise is when you're working for yourself and you're self-employed, you're paying by the hour, or you're being paid by the hour, depending what way you look at it. So when you're working as an employed person for a company, you're in work, say from 9 till 5, and you are paid for being there during that time. Now, depending on your role in your job, you could be, I don't know, an admin person. So day to day, you manage admin and your day just kind of passes you by. Or you could be a manager, you have meetings, you have schedules, you have goals to hit, you have all these things to do. So you're working at a very fast pace continually. And so I'm using this comparison because when you work as self-employed and you're paid by the hour, you are literally giving your tasks your all every single time you are doing it. So you could be doing a power hour with someone. You could be giving someone a coaching session. You could be working on a specific project to create a strategy or something like that, and you're giving that task your all. And if you're doing that, say from 9 till 10, 9 to 11, whatever time it is, and then you're moving to a completely different client, a different task, and you're doing exactly the same thing at the same speed, you're not allowing yourself that time and that break to recuperate, refresh your mind, get some, fresh air to ready and start again for the next meeting or the next project or the next goal, the next task, whatever it is. And so taking and adding those regular breaks into your schedule really, really makes a huge difference. And I know this, I found it out the hard way. Starting in business, I didn't think about taking breaks or adding in lunch or anything like that. I used to just grab and eat on the go. And sometimes it would get to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I wouldn't have eaten or even drunk water or a cup of tea or anything because I was so busy and on the go all the time. And even now, I do have breaks in my calendar. I have them scheduled in, and I may not take them religiously, but I do have them in my calendar. And that's all thanks to my daughter, actually, because she noticed how hard I work and how much I continue work sometimes when I'm picking her up from school. So she made me add in breaks in my calendar because she knows I use my calendar religiously, which is very beautiful. I absolutely love that. So it really made a difference, especially when she saw how hard I was working. And to me, in my mindset, I was like, wow, my daughter's actually seeing this. So I really need to take note and look after myself. And so I'm telling you all this because it does really show how important it is to take breaks and not run yourself into the ground, moving from one task to the next. And it might mean that things get delayed or moved over or things prioritized over other things. But that's the way of life. You can't do every single thing that you want to do because time doesn't allow it. Right, so we are now going to move on and talk about the top 3 areas to consider when time blocking. So grab a piece of paper and a pen and let's look at these top 3 areas. So the first thing is, what do you do on a daily, weekly and monthly basis? Now we've just talked about this, so I'd like you to take some time and just really think about those things. What do you do on a daily, weekly and monthly basis? Secondly, when are you most productive? Now we talked about this before, AM or PM. Are you an early riser or are you a night owl? So think about when you are most productive to do the big projects, and then you can do the other things when you're not so productive in your day. The third thing, what tasks can you group and adapt to fit with your schedule? So we looked at admin and perhaps time blocking that on a Monday between 9 and 11. So what can you group in admin? So create all the different groups that you know you do on a regular basis. So it could be you have admin. It could be you have some personal things. Can you do those on a regular weekly time slot, whatever it is, whether it's going to the dentist, going to the doctors, perhaps collecting something that you might have ordered, whatever it is, are you able to plan it in your week so that you can do it at a set time? Another area could be if you do the school pickup. Now that's probably a regular time each week for some of you. For me, I do have it at a regular time, but it's different on different days. So I know that Monday is at 5 o'clock, whereas on Tuesday I know it's at 3:30. So it varies each week. So look at all the different groups and just pop them together and add them all in the same sort of thing. And then you can highlight them even if you work well with colour, if you work well with really putting things down on a huge bit of paper, which I love doing. I tend to get out a great big A3 piece of paper. I get out all different coloured pens and I really work out what it is that I need to work on at the time and group things in certain colours. I'm a very visual person, so that might work for you. So after you have done this, I then want you to look at your calendar and see where you can time block these things. So you might know that you have some regular things already, whether that's with clients or whether that's things that you have in your business. So it might be quite easy for you to pick and point those specific days and times where you can add in these time blocks. So have a look at your calendar, have a look at your list side by side and really see where you can start to create specific time blocks. And then I want you to implement them. If this feels good for you, which I'm hoping it will, once you get into the steady rhythm of time blocking, it really is beneficial. We talked about the benefits of it, so go back to those and really think about it. So implementing. Head on over to your digital calendar, whether that's a Google Calendar, an Apple Calendar, Microsoft Calendar, whatever calendar it is you use. And I would invite you to use your calendar religiously alongside your inbox. Every single morning, it's the first thing I do when I sit down at my desk and I'm ready to action and work. I have my inbox open and my calendar open together. I also actually have Dubsado open at the same time because that's the management system that I use for onboarding my clients, where my CRM is, where all of my details are for my projects. So all those three software pieces work together. So head on over to your digital calendar and start to add your regular blocks, whether that's daily, weekly, or monthly. Now, these don't have to be a sticking point. So like I said, you could just put admin in for now. You could say Monday 9 to 11 is admin and just put that in for now so that you know you've got that time. Once you start to get used to the rhythm of time blocking, you have that monthly, that weekly time block. As each week comes, you'll start to plan your weeks alongside your time block. So perhaps on a Sunday or even a Monday morning, you might look at that time block and think, right, how can I really get down to the details of this time blocking? So admin might be there for a Monday. And like we said with the examples, it could be accounts and invoicing, or it could be working on your website or your services, something like that. So you could think, actually, this week, I know I need to work on my services. So I'm going to update those on my website. So this Monday, I'm going to put a little detail in that specific block in that week. So go to your calendar, go to the admin block and edit the calendar, edit the time block for that specific Monday. You don't want to update all of them, just that week. And you know that you've allowed yourself that time for that specific task. Once you get into the rhythm of doing it, you'll find that you start to do it every single week for every single time block. And it's something that I do to really plan my time. I also know when I'm working on client work and when I plan to have coaching sessions, and I tend to set specific days for those things because it's a real mind shift when you're working on different things. And so I like to work it in a way that I know I'm going to be most productive. So you could also colour coordinate them. So like I said, with the paper and the pens, I also have that in my calendar. So I tend to use my time blocking with my digital calendar and colour code them. So admin could be red. your personal things could be yellow. You know, you really get down to the details with it. So whilst you're doing this, I'd like you to remember 3 really important things. This is a habit change, so be kind to yourself. It will take time, so don't expect a miracle to happen overnight or in the next week or even in the next month. For a habit to change, it usually takes about 90 days. So if you have the willpower and the motivation and you know that you really need this, just remember that. It's a habit change. Be kind to yourself and plan to do it for 90 days and see what happens. Secondly, don't overthink and plan in too much detail. Just start by time blocking. Like I said, each week put admin there, and you know that you've got that allowance, that time in your calendar to do your admin. And then you can start to plan the details as you get used to the process. But don't overthink it. Just go with it and see what happens. You might even find that something different works for you whilst you're actually implementing. So go with it, see what happens. And number 3, be open to changes and make adaptations where necessary. So I say this because sometimes things come up. You know, recently my daughter broke her arm, and so that completely threw everything out of the window, and I had to make changes, and it was okay to do that. At first, I did beat myself up about it. Even now, you know, I'm not perfect, and I have learnt how to do things. Even now I make changes. I've been in business for 6 years, but you have to make adaptations along the way, and these things throw us for whatever reason. But the idea is to allow yourself to make the changes and make adaptations and just get on with it where you can. So don't be too hard on yourself if something happens. So now I want to talk about managing your time. I've got 7 tips for you to manage your time going forward with your newly time-blocked calendar. Use the available and busy settings in your calendar so that you can't be overbooked. If you have an open calendar where people can book meetings with you, it's really useful. If you use more than one calendar, share them in the background so that they talk to each other and work together. Again, you don't want to get overbooked. Turn off your notifications whilst working on dedicated tasks. Also, Mac users, have you seen the focus tool in settings? It is hugely helpful. Now, I only found out about this tool recently, and my gosh, it is amazing. It really is. So if you're in a meeting, in a session, and you suddenly get distracted by your notifications popping up, it can totally throw you. And yes, you don't want to lose focus. So turn off your notifications, use the focus tool. Perhaps if you've got a meeting, so just turn on the focus for an hour so that you don't get any distractions coming through. Also, set specific time aside for engaging on social media. Don't sit there scrolling. Now, we can all be guilty of this. You can decide to open up Facebook or Instagram just for 5 minutes. You've got, I don't know, some pasta cooking or something, and all of a sudden you find yourself scrolling on Facebook and the beeper's going already, and you've just spent, 15 minutes in Facebook when you didn't tend to do that. So set specific times and actually go onto social media to do something that you intended to do. I actually do this at specific times of the day, and I go and respond to any notifications, or I'm present in my group, or I'm present in other people's groups, making connections and building relationships. So really set specific times. Now, the next thing, allow for lost time, interruptions, and adjust where needed. So we briefly just touched on this before about being open to changes and making adaptations. And then the last thing, we also touched on this, Be kind to yourself and plan extra time where required and wanted. If you decide you need a day off, book that in your calendar. Actually decide to do it. I've actually got very good at doing that recently and allowing myself some time off because I never used to be very good at it. So yes, that's an extremely important task. So if you can add it in, definitely do. So this kind of wraps up what I've been talking about today. So time blocking really is the best way to manage your time. I know so many people that have tried to do it and it hasn't worked for them for whatever reason. But if you're committed to doing it and really allowing yourself more time, it is definitely the task for you. Okay, so I hope you are already implementing this because I know it will be the change that you need to look after you and thrive. Thrive in life and in business by managing your time by using the time blocking skill. It really is so worth it, trust me. So this also brings me on to that I have a free PDF on this. It's a free resource that you can download on my website. I'll pop the link in the show notes. So I would love for you to download this and see if it really works for you. All you need to do is plan some time in your diary, perhaps an hour or so, to really look at this, to get out those pens and paper, get out your digital calendar and really implement to see if it works. Trust me, if you really put the time in, it will work. You will work it through and you'll be able to feel less overwhelmed and more organised day to day. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode and that it's been of some use to you. If you do have any questions, you're welcome to contact me on social media and send me a DM, or you can email me. Either way, I'm happy to help. Right, have a good week, take care, and let me know how you get on planning your calendar. Thank you so much for listening to the Courageous Goals podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode and taken something of value for you. If you'd love more advice, coaching, inspiration and support, head on over to join many other courageous women in business in our free community group over on Facebook. We'd love to welcome you. You can also find free useful resources over on the website at leannebrown.com/resources. Right, that's all for this week. I look forward to sharing another episode with you next week.